is the only thing that means a goddamn. You learn it.
Ladies, what an absolute honor it is to speak to both of you. Amy, I'm going to start with you. Does it make me a horrible person that while I was watching this movie, I was yelling at older JD and begging him to leave Beverly and reclaim his life? Or do you kind of identify with that aspect of the story also?
Oh, no, I do identify with it. And I think, ultimately that's the choice he had to make, was to sort of claim his life and kind of untether himself from his from any sort of codependency with his mom. So you were doing the right thing, is rooting for JD to leave her with her own demons. Yeah.
I felt terrible doing it.
It's okay.
It's it is that push and pull that I think is a lot of people will relate to. And I think there is a lot for people from all walks of life, every corner of society to relate to in this story, in addition to the cultural specifics, and that's one of the things that I really appreciated about, the true story of this complex family. But I what I really admire about JD is that he came to recognize that, to understand the baggage that he carried from his family, but also the strengths, and to make the decisions, to accept the support, to accept the help that would allow him to actually, to actualize, to maximize his potential without rejecting everything about his past or walking away from his family. Mm-hmm. And so that wasn't really an option for him. And what I think he's chosen is a tougher path, which is to go his own way, to be everything that he wants to try to be, to chase those ambitions, and yet still stay close to the family, stay a part of it, stay connected to these people who he loves. And he's doing it. The man is doing it. And I really admire that about him. I hope to reflect the complexity of that decision in that moment that you're talking about.
There are a bunch of facets to love, and to feel obligated to help someone you love and care for is very, despite how frustrating it can be, is when you're in it, it's like that guy who has an ex who he wants to go back to, and you're just like, what are you doing? And it's just that frustration of like, but it's also the empathy of, oh, that's his mom, so it's very, I get it in the sense that to have someone in your life who, lets you down is very frustrating, but then to have someone who brought you into life, is just, you also have that sense of obligation and love.
You've always got a reason. It's always someone else's fault. Some point, you're gonna have to take responsibility, or someone else is gonna have to step in.
Who? Huh? Who? You?
I'm not asking this to embarrass either of you. I'm genuinely curious about this. When you get an opportunity to work with a colleague whose work you have admired yourself over the years, and you finally get a chance to share scenes together, how do you break that ice? How do you get over the fact of, oh my gosh, I'm in a scene with Amy Adams, or I'm in a scene with Glenn Close?
I tell you, I'm really at ease most with my own kind. I'm so happy to work with somebody like Amy. It makes me better. It inspires me, but I'm not intimidated by my fellow actors. I'm inspired by them, and it's fabulous to be in that element together.
I hate to say I am intimidated by my fellow actors, but in the best way. I mean, I'm inspired as well, but this thing happens to me when I'm working with certain actors, and it happened with Glenn, where I would have to remind myself that I was also being filmed, because I would start watching her performance and like come out of my own, because I was just like, this is amazing. So I sort of step outside of the experience, because it's such a joy to get to witness an actor so embody a role and invest so deeply. So it's a real pleasure.
You never really totally get used to working with them. You just kind of have to invest yourself in the scene and in the characters, And I think also Glenn and Amy being so on top of their game all the time kind of helps you with that immersion.
You gotta think about these kids.
What do you think I've been thinking about since I was 18 years old, huh? Never had a life where I wasn't thinking about the kids.
I was truly blown away at the end of the film when they include footage of the actual women, at how the resemblances were there. I'm really curious about what a physical aspect, a visual aspect of the characters that you guys, when you finally got it, that it made you sort of feel like, okay, I'm in the zone, I have it. Maybe Glenn, I can start with you for that one.
Yeah, it's a slow process. You start, I mean, I started with the knowledge that I couldn't play this part if I was distracted by my own face. Let alone the audience be distracted by my face. So the first person I called was Matthew Mungle, who designed my makeup for Albert Nobbs, and Martial Conneville, who's done my wigs for practically my entire career. And they're beautiful artists, and their input with the pictures of Mamaw was the beginning. And then to go to the body, how to create her body, and the weight of her body, and then to get from the family really specific points about her body language and her voice and her her atmosphere. So it was a really fascinating, exciting process to put it all together so that every morning you could see that happening, because we had such an incredible team.
The wonderful thing about building the transformation of Beverly as far as physically was that once I looked in the mirror, I knew her. Like, I felt like she was somebody familiar to me, somebody I grew up in a small town in Colorado. Her hair was pretty much my hair from my 1980-89 prom. So much so that I did my own bangs on a daily basis. But in all seriousness, just sort of having people who were so amazing craftspeople help you form that look. Virginia, what's her last name? So Virginia
Johnson.
Yes, who did the wardrobe. Her attention to detail, it was amazing. So it really helps with the transformation.
I'm running out of time, but I have to ask what it means to you to be part of the only father-daughter directing duo in the Star Wars universe. How often do you two geek out and
wow.
compare notes?
I never really thought about that. Her mentor in all of this is Jon Favreau, and of course, he's so immersed. So she knows that my journey into the galaxy was very, very unique, very, very specific, and fleeting. So I love it, but what I really appreciate is the way she's embraced what Mandalorian can be, and the way that she can participate and be influential in this sort of the defining of this new chapter.
Her love for it shines through. So did yours as well too.
No, thank you. I did have a lot of fun with it.
Good. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Amy, today I finished my first book. It's called Release the Snyder Cut. All about the movement to get Zach's movie released.
Is that really your book?
That's seriously my book. This is the final manuscript with all the notes.
Okay, I need to read that because I know nothing about this.
It's coming out.
Well, I know it's coming out. I do know that. But I had no idea there was a movement.
Oh, a whole movement, and they raise a ton of money for suicide prevention, and it's truly fabulous. Is it bizarre to be thinking about a movie that you thought you were done with 4 years ago?
I'm looking forward to seeing what the Snyder Cut looks like. I mean, I knew what the script was, and so I'm curious to see if it stays true to the script or if we've expanded the universe a little bit. But I'm glad Zach's getting a final cut in there. That'll be fun to see.
I'm so looking forward to seeing it. I'll get you a copy of the book, I promise.
Thank you. I'm fascinated with that, how sort of this internet movement happened.
It's been amazing. So thank you for all you guys do. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate your time.